and welcome back to Dukascopy TV. I'm joined in the studio by Ayoob Rawat from ClearVision to discuss the importance of managing your money. Ayoob, thank you very much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me on the show, Monica.
You're very welcome. Now, wealth management is one of the major pillars of the Swiss financial centre. In your opinion, why is it just so important?
The finance sector represents in Switzerland probably in the region of 12% of GDP. Employs approximately 200,000 people, which represent 5% of the workforce of Switzerland. And wealth management has taken also a big role in those pillars of the finance sector. And because of the stability that I was just mentioning has grown so that today Switzerland covers and manages 30% of offshore money in the world. And that has not happened by chance. It's happened because of the stability and the strength of the professional in the place. So wealth management itself represents approximately 2% of GDP, generate approximately 16 billion of revenue to the coffers of the country on an annual basis. So hence the importance of wealth management to the Swiss economy.
Okay, so that's to the economy, but what about to the average person? Why is wealth management so important, and what are the benefits, especially in this economic climate, of managing your money?
At the base, what are we talking about? We're talking about protection, we're talking about growing your wealth, we're talking about managing the risk associated in growing your wealth, and we're talking about succession planning. So I am of the opinion that whilst wealth management has been the privy of the super rich, it should be democratized. There should be more people. In reality, you are very wealthy, Monica, and so are our colleagues in the studios. But the problem is that in the past, the only way we've measured wealth is in monetary terms. In reality, wealth is more than that. The word wealth itself comes from will, which means the way of life, health, all associated with it. So it's very important, not only to the Swiss people, but to the world. Wealth management is something that should be available to everybody.
Now, you're heavily involved in the industry as well, have been for some time, but what are the challenges that you're facing today in terms of wealth management, in terms of clients, in terms of portfolio, these different things?
Oh, I've been part of wealth management for many, many years. I've spent more than 30 years in the banking sector, the last 20 years in wealth management. And I've seen it grow. I've seen the challenges that it faces continuously. And it's a bit contradictory. On the one sense, you see wealth growing, but on the other way, you see margin on revenue shrinking in Switzerland. And the reasons are numerous, one of which is the fact that governments and international organizations has been putting a lot of pressure to fight tax evasion. And people have become themselves more aware and more compliant. So at the end of the day, in the past, where we were relying on cross-border money, now we are going to be working more on the value proposition, which is to create performance on those wealth. So that is a change in the sector that professionals have had to adapt to. Other international sectors like Singapore, my country, Mauritius, other places like Nassau, etc., also compete now with Switzerland to attract wealth, to attract declared money or non-declared money, whatever it is. So at the end of the day, these are some of the problems that has arisen, that has created that pressure on the margin that has reduced considerably.
So in order to overcome these challenges, how should they go about it, would you say?
So in my opinion, wealth managers, whether they are asset managers, whether they are private bankers, have got to go back to source. Knowing fundamentally what your client is or want to be, what his surrounding is, what his earning potential is, and what his risk appetite is. And there are solutions, there are software that does it for you. Then the next step is transparency and communication. I think one of the problems that wealth managers have had during the crisis was not communicating before and not communicating after the crisis, and during the crisis, of course. Then clients are looking for what? They are looking to understand that you manage the risk on their behalf correctly on a proactive basis. And finally, they want performance. If they pay you, then it's to add alpha. Otherwise, they might as well buy an index and sleep on it.
Very, very true. Obviously, every individual wants to feel important and see their money working for them. Now, Ayoob, thank you very much for your insights today. Before we finish, we're going to bring you on to our Dukascopy question. Now, the Dukascopy question is where we ask our guests, if you had $1 million US, I know, and you had to invest it for 1 year, where would you decide to place the money? Now, if we look at the boards behind us, we have some options. We have real estate, equity, bonds, gold, cash, and oil. So, Ayoob, where would you choose to put your money?
In the present context, for the next year, I would go for real estate in London.
Real estate in London, okay. So, could you tell us why? What's your reasons for this?
Two reasons. I think one is it's well priced. As you know, it's been stagnant for many, many years if it has not fallen. And also I believe that sterling itself is underpriced. I mean, we're talking on the basis of the choice between Switzerland and the UK. So I think there's a double whammy potential there.
A double whammy potential. Excellent. We heard it here first. Thank you very much, Ayoob, for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
Monica.
you. Well, that's all we've got time for at the moment. Don't forget, there's many more exclusive interviews on the Dukascopy website, so please do click back. Goodbye for now.